What is up? What is up, man? This is Kane Frost, and I've got so many discussions and topics to go over. I don't even know where to start. All right, so I'm gonna probably go to this one right here. Do you need money to get the hottest chicks? And this is crazy because this can go in so many different directions. I have a lot of friends who have a lot of money, and some prefer women that are not hot, and some are really, really picky, and some just know it's all about the money and they don't mind spending it to constantly stay with that hot chick. And so, do you need money to be with the hot chick? Well, you got to. It's kind of it can, like I said, go many ways, but you always got to remember that hot girl is always going to be getting hit on and always being thrown at a lot of opportunities for them to do, a lot of things with a lot of men. It doesn't matter what the age is, as long as the guy has money, he's going to be offering this woman everything. And I've seen it happen from several different type of guys to several different women, and they'll be offering them, vacations. They'll be offering to pay their rent. They'll offer to buy them cars or pay their car bill. They'll even show their bank account statements to just show them how rich they are, and if they want to come live with them, just kind of hang out with them. I've seen it so bad where a woman had shown me a contract that a guy had given her, that she was going to get full benefits and she was going to have paid time off and all this stuff. She was going to be put on have like a W-2 file and you pay taxes to be this guy's servant, and he had all these demands of, what times, he expected her to do these certain things. So, men will go above and beyond to pay to be with women. And so there's all kinds of guys always looking for all kinds of different, women. And a lot of them will pay for it. And the older they get, the more they're enticed, or they just want to pay for it because they know that their looks are starting to fade away, even if they didn't have looks. But just everybody in time, as we get older, our looks fade, and they start to throw more money at them, trying to keep up, to stay with the hottest and the fittest girls. So, do you need money to be with the hottest ones? Well, again, this is gonna vary on the girl's age that you're trying to get at. So, let's say a girl's in her young 20s, early 20s. Well, she's going to be really, into a bunch of her age, range guys. And let's say, maybe just a 3 or 4 year, 5 year might be even too old for her. Just a 3 or 4 year age gap they want to stay around. And do those guys have to have money? No, not really. Because they're both just trying to figure out life as it goes along. But now, will that girl date an older man? Sure. If the guy has money, because he's going to be more mature, he's going to have, more of a financial situation down, maybe a business. He's going to have all that, where it's not going to be as childish. Where the younger person is going to probably want to play video games all day long. It's going to be living paycheck to paycheck. That's his whole thing, and he's going to be a very easy guy to figure out. Where the older guy, is not that no more out of that stage. Now he wants to travel and see more things outside of the house, outside the video games. So to her, it's going to be more spontaneous and more adventurous and romantic. Will the girl fall in love with that guy? I mean, it's possible, but is she going into the dating aspect to fall in love with him? No, she just wants to see where it's going to go. And if it's something that a route that she's willing to give it a shot, like I said, maybe it might work out. For the most part, it's not going to work out. she's just going out there to have fun because she doesn't have to pay for anything. And the guy's having to pay for everything. But the guy doesn't mind. The only time the guy minds is when he pays for something and he doesn't get his return on his investment that he's putting all his money into. Even though a guy might say, he's not wanting to do that, he does want to do that. He's just telling you that, what you want to hear as a woman to do these certain things. He's hoping, to take you on these certain trips and for you to feel a certain way, like, the scenery, the smell, the, just the beach, or, just the exotic places you're going to be going to. He wants you to see that and have that experience with him. So when you're away from him, you can think about those kinds of things. When you're back around him, or you're missing him, you want to be back in those times. Like I said, a girl could fall in love that way, but maybe not. Maybe she just sees it as the money thing, and the next guy that comes along that has the same amount of money, that looks a little bit better or better, in general, then she's going to be with that guy because she gets to see the same things, go to the same places, experience the same things, but just with now a more attractive guy. And she's always going to want to be leveling up in her situation. She doesn't want to look back and get with an uglier guy with more money. That doesn't really matter. As long as you have a certain amount of money to do almost pretty much an unlimited amount of things, not going out and buying a yacht and all that kind of stuff and just balling out every weekend, but enough money to do just go on about 3 vacations a year. That's pretty good money. When you're balling out and you're trying to do 10 vacations a year, then now you're kind of overdoing it. You're really all about, you have no kind of character to yourself. It's like the only thing you really have is your wallet, and that's the whole thing about leading you with your wallet, and that's your whole game. Without that, you're pretty much like a dull guy. You don't really have what it takes to carry on a conversation or make things adventurous, without having to pay somebody or something for their services or entertainment to kind of fill in the gaps, the silence. So, the whole thing, like I said, is that can you, do you have to have a whole lot of money to date? Again, it's all about the age, the young 20s, that's that. And you got the late 20s, now girls are getting out of that. They're still a little bit want to be adventurous, but again, they want to be a little also more, they're starting to kind of like settle in. I see a lot of girls doing that. Once they hit 26, they're trying to find more mature guys. They don't want to be looking back. All the girls will always want to be with a hot guy all the way up in their 50s. They'll still want to date the 20-year-olds and they'll look at the 18-year-olds and teenagers. But, for the most part, a lot of girls will, they'll want to date the more mature guys that have things, going on in their life. And, just in case, they start getting baby vibes and all that stuff, that they're with a secure guy. And that's when they start kind of looking. And, like I said, in that age, they still kind of wouldn't mind sleeping with the hotter guys, but they know that the hotter guys around their age are not going to really have a lot of things going on. You really don't, as a guy, you really don't start gaining and finding your purpose until you're in your 30s, your early 30s, and you start figuring out stuff of, what you're good at and what you're trying to build off of and all that stuff. So, the women, when they're in their 30s, now they're like, okay, I'm in my 30s. What am I going to do now? And where am I going to, who am I with? And a lot of people, their family and all that stuff might be questioning them, and all that kind of stuff. So they're going to be more mature about who they're seeing and stuff like that. Now, if they're still partying with the younger generation, the younger crowd, that might be because they're work type environments and stuff. Maybe they just want to feel a little more youthful. But we all get older in time. There's no, dodging it. We just get older. And so the older we get, the more in the female's mind, they want to be more secure and kind of start building, a long-term family and possibly kids and stuff, So that's, and then from 30s and on, it's pretty much the same as far as for the woman, as far as for what they're looking for, and what type of guy they're looking for. Like I said, the fun guys are always in the 20s and stuff, but as we all get older and the women get older, they want something that's more dependable. It depends on how much the girl's a party guy or girl. If she wants to get out of her phase, then she's going to find more of a guy who's a less partier, or if a guy who still likes to kind of party on the weekend and stuff, then that'll be her thing. But the main thing is again, is once they're in their 30s and stuff, is money more now a big issue? And the answer is yes. Like I said, everybody wants to be more mature, so they don't want to find a guy who's still living like his 20s. And trust me, there are a lot of guys in their 30s and in their 40s who still are living like their 20s. They still haven't got a clue yet, and they're still just bouncing around and just having fun and all that stuff. And to a lot of girls, that's really not attractive. As far as for the partying, sure, but as far as for stability in a relationship, it's not really attractive. They're looking for something on a more committed relationship. So do you have to have money? Yes, because most of the times, even when you're getting to know somebody, more of the people who are looking for job security and all that stuff are going to be pretty much women with kids, with no fathers, or fathers in their life. They're just looking for somebody, for help from a guy to come in and help them out and stuff. Which is, it's not, they're just looking for the best out for their kids. I understand that. But as far as for a guy, that's what they really have to consider. Every guy just wants to sleep with a girl, but then after that kind of fades away. Now they're with the kids, and this is where a lot of girls mess up. They say, they listen to the guy, they hear all the guy's stuff, and then they believe him and stuff, and then the next thing you know, they move him in, or she moves in, whatever, to get more serious, and the guy realizes that's not really signed up for what he wants to really do. He doesn't want to be a stepdad. So then he bounces, and the girl's wasted all that time. It could be months, years, or whatever, and at the very end of the day, it's not his kids, he leaves, or he tries to put his foot down, and she says, these are not your kids, you don't get to say so, and he figures out he's not going to be the man of the house, and then he eventually leaves. And then now she has to start all over. And you got to remember, like I just said, we all get older, and the older we get, sometimes we get a little lazier, and we gain weight, and we're not as attractive, so all that stuff plays into factor about, do you have to have money to date the hot chicks? Now, hot girls, or girls that are hot, can look hot all the way up into their 50s, in their 60s and stuff. They can, if they constantly eat good and work out and all that stuff, they can always do that stuff. And their requirements, you can't be bad for them, or kind of downplay what their requirements are, even if they're older, is because they knew what it would take to still get the hot guys. Keep your body in shape, eat good and exercise and stuff, and then they have requirements, versus the other girls who are overweight and stuff. Now their requirements aren't going to be so high because they see themselves in the mirror and they realize, I'm not the hot chick. Now some women will think they are still hot. If they were an 8 in their 20s, and then now they're in their 30s, and they gain, let's say, 80 pounds since then, to them, some of them will still think they're hot. And, they'll still have standards and stuff, which is, I applaud anybody for their, looks of life on how they see themselves. But the reality is they're not as hot as they used to be. And for those women too, it takes them a long time to come to the understanding of who they are and what they become, until they realize that, and then they either can go back into the gym and start working out and get their body back in shape, which is a lot of dedication and very hard to do, or they don't. And then, they pretty much will need to settle, or they'll just complain about how there's no good guys out there when they don't see themselves as being the main priority issue. They'll put it on everybody else. Everybody else is at fault. There's no other good guys out there and stuff. Me. It's them. It's not me. So, until that ever happens, then they will never learn. And then the older get older and older and older, and people get bitter when they don't get their ways, and they still think it's about everybody else, not them. And then until that happens, it's crazy. Anyways, kind of going off topic. But do you need money to date the hot women? And the answer is yes and no. Younger they are, then they love to stay in their same age. So if you are a young guy and they find you, and you find each other attractive, you really don't need the money. But if they're young and you're older, you're 10, let's say 7 years older, 10 years older, 15 years older, 20 years older, whatever it is, yes, you're gonna have to have money, because there's a lot of other guys in the same position as you who are just average guys, but they make money and they have a lot to offer this person. Boat rides, vacations, a nice house with a jacuzzi and a swimming pool. If you don't have all that stuff, and you're sitting there trying to wonder why these hot girls maybe go out with you once and they're not calling you back, well, there's your answer. You don't have, what it takes to keep her. And maybe in that first conversation, that first date, maybe by you talking to her, she figured you out. Or maybe she went back to your house and figured out where you live, and she figured that you were not all that. And maybe you did sleep with her. Maybe she was just feeling lonely. But then you tried to figure out why it's not working, and there's your answer. So the older you are, you're not this good-looking GQ guy that just stays old and good-looking all the time. You're gonna need something to make yourself look better, and the answer to that is always gonna be money, and maybe good credit too. All right, man, that is about it for this one. This is your boy Kayne Frost. Until the next time, man, rock on and